Hi everyone, Sandra Owens here. I'm going for a walk in the warmed up sticky snow on my hill. I don't even have a hat on today. Woo! A couple of days ago, it was 21 below. You couldn't even step outside with any exposed skin. You just gotta go with the flow, you know, and embrace it. Embrace it all and you'll be much happier. I actually want to do this video today as a reach out to a good friend named John who lives about 20 miles off the Chukchi Peninsula of Siberia on an island called St. Lawrence in the Siberian Sea. It's an American island and it's like 300 miles from Alaska, and the people that live there are Yupik. Haven't met anyone in person, but just wonderful people and some friendships. And anyways, I wanted to share some little strategies that I've built regarding addiction and cravings. So like everybody, addictions start in the mind, right? Like, so it's all in your mind and how you react to things, and we all have our things, right? So for me, I have an addiction to Pop-Tarts and caffeine, and for a little while even alcohol. So I'll start with the Pop-Tarts because I really believe that with really big addictions like, alcohol and cigarettes and, heroin or whatever, there's some that they just like sink their talons into your back and they're just really big, and they're hard to get rid of. So my approach has been to cut myself some slack. Don't, just take a break from, I need to stop this, I have to stop this. And it's so heavy and so intense and so full of expectation and all that kind of stuff that, so what I did with the Pop-Tarts, and so to give an example of what Pop-Tart addiction looked like for me, I'd be in the grocery store and I'd be, spend an hour shopping for groceries, right? Carefully going down every aisle, then stand in line and wait to check out. And I could be in the middle of a checkout line, and somebody would walk by with a box of Pop-Tarts, and I would literally get out of line and be like, oh, Pop-Tarts, and have to go get Pop-Tarts. And so it's just sort of a funny addiction in some ways, but I like giving myself a little bit of space. So what I do was I have this little practice of I call it letting it out with the cat. So I just made up this little sort of meditation, and what I love about it is that it's very peaceful and gentle. And okay, so what I do is I close my eyes, slow down my breathing, lengthen the breathing, just sort of calm myself down. And then I imagine in my mind's eye, oh, rabbit turd. I imagine in my mind's eye that I'm in a summer house and I'm walking down a hall, and at the end of the hall is a screen door, and in front of the screen door is a sleek black cat sitting, waiting for somebody to let it out. So I gently walk up to the screen door, lean over the cat, and just push open the door. And the cat stands up and walks out. And while I have the door open, I also let out anything that no longer serves me. So, for example, with Pop-Tarts, I would just imagine an addiction to Pop-Tarts just going out gently like a helium balloon and just drifting away. and then just closing the door and, on like that. And it's unbelievably effective. And I think it's because I'm taking the pressure off. I'm not shooting myself. I'm not, there's no expectations. There's no anything. It's just very peaceful and gentle. And I've done the same thing with caffeine. So this summer, I decided that caffeine was no longer serving me well. I have plenty of energy. I don't need caffeine. And it has sort of these negative things where, like, if I can't get a really great cup of coffee when and where I want, when I get kind of crabby about that. And it also is just sort of makes me more impatient, and I don't need any more help with being impatient either. So I decided that caffeine was not serving me well. And I had gotten a couple of speeding tickets in a row, and I wanted to embrace slower, which is a new concept for me. I don't really do slower. So I wanted to try a new practice, and I thought that caffeine was kind of standing in the way of that. So I only drank one good cup a day, but still it was like an important one. I'm just coming over to this pine tree because I see a bunch of tracks over here and I gotta check it out. So I did that same let it out with the cat practice with caffeine, and just gonna put this camera up here. Whoops, got my hand right in front of the lens. And then I felt very free to, I just started like taking my little bucket of ground coffee, and one day I would just like put in a tablespoon of decaf. And then a week later, I'd put in a little bit more. And I did it like really gradually. There was no resistance. There was no pushback. There was no headaches. And it felt really natural, and it felt really good. It was like exciting. It was like, wow, I'm doing this, and I'm getting weller, and I'm doing something really cool, and I'm not losing any energy, and I still have the flavor of coffee and all this kind of stuff. And so after a couple of months, it was just gone. It just went out with the cat. It just drifted away like a helium balloon. And it was just so cool. So bigger addictions, like alcohol and stuff. So my relationship with alcohol was that I never really settled with me. I didn't really ever get into it much because my system just didn't handle it well. And so it never was a problem until I was like, I don't know, maybe 46, 47 years old, and somebody gave me a dirty vodka martini. And I had a love affair with martinis for about 6 years. And slowly over time, it just sort of kept growing and growing and growing and getting bigger and bigger and taking, sort of sinking into my psyche and my skin and my body and my mind more and more day by day. And I felt that it had control over me, which I didn't like, but I also liked it. So after about 6 years, I felt that it was way more negative than positive. It was bringing trouble into my life. It was costing me a lot of money. I didn't like the negative role model for my children and grandchildren, which was probably at the top of the list for me. And so for a whole bunch of reasons, I was just like, this is an addiction, and I wanted it to leave. And so I did some meditations on addiction, and I kept being like, what is addiction? I wanted to understand it, but I don't want to go to school long enough to figure it out. I'm a little, it's like, I'd rather have fun than go to school. So I kept the word craving, just kind of kept popping up for me and being a really important word. And so I kind of shifted my focus to the word craving. And it's like, well, what is it about craving? And so I did that, let it out with the cat meditation about craving, and found that even though I don't understand the whole addiction and craving and stuff like that on a deep level, I didn't need to, for my sake anyways. I merely needed to let it go, that it wasn't serving me, and let it go. And that one was a little harder. Like, I feel like some addictions are tougher, and that one was harder to let go of because of the cravings. And so, I did that meditation a number of times, so over a year of meditating on it, and like where I could feel a craving if I drove past a liquor store, I'd sort of get that, like, ooh, want that, It took a year for that to go away. And so I feel like some addictions are more insidious and stronger, but it's finally, I feel it weakening. And there's something that I've noticed, and it's that I feel like the darkness, the devil, the demon, or whatever, I guess addictions and cravings sort of somehow fit into that category for me, like, ooh, grows in the dark. It strengthens in the dark, but it diminishes in the light. So for me, like, talking about it, being really open about it, addressing it has been super effective at diminishing it. So I think what I really want to say is that I took the pressure off myself about it, and wasn't like, I have to stop this, I need to overcome it, I need to like be stronger than it and beat it down, because that has never once in my life has that attitude ever shifted my behavior, has ever helped me, has ever changed anything. And I don't care whether it was fear, control, impatience, an addiction, anything else. I've never been able to just sort of like, I'm going to make this stop, and then it stopped. Where this very gentle, peaceful letting go, and a few techniques for that, have been far more effective for me. And I'm so excited about it, because it means that I'm constantly growing, I'm constantly getting weller, I'm constantly getting stronger, rather than this intense pressure and guilt and weight of shoulding myself to do something, or expectations of other people that I'm letting them down, and I have to do this because I owe it to them, or something like that. It was just like letting go of all of that, and just being so much kinder to myself. And so it's worth a try, right? What have you got to lose? Because it's all in here. So if it doesn't work, it'll be right there waiting for you, no worries about that. But I've had so much success with it in so many different areas. And the speeding tickets that I got, I don't speed anymore. And I'm not going to say to myself that I'll never get another speeding ticket, or that I'll never speed, but through mindfulness and embracing slower, I just don't speed anymore. I notice the speed signs, and I don't resent the speed signs. I just let them be what they are, and I go ahead and do and so it's this really beautiful thing. Anyways, thanks.
First snow please of the season. Ooh. Oh man. It was 20 something below for over 2 weeks. Last night it started raining, and today we have snow please. We have weather in Vermont. Wow, look at that. Look at those little things. Just jump, 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 jump. I try not to think about them when I'm eating fresh snow in the winter, but I don't know where they come from.
Hi, Sandra Owens. I woke up this morning to the sound of what sounded like tiny little icicles falling on my skylight. And, couldn't see because it was still dark, but I could tell it was a unique sound. It wasn't quite hail, wasn't rain, so I just had to get up and investigate. So I came outside and, put on my boots and hat and all that kind of stuff, and came outside, and indeed, it was this really unique kind of snow that was on the ground. It was like, it wasn't beady like hail, but it looked like snow, so I figured the best way to kind of like really check it out, I scrubbed my face, I just like put it all over my face. I basically washed my face in it. And indeed, it's like half snow with half ice, half snow, but it's getting colder. It's supposed to be below zero today. It was 55 yesterday, and it's supposed to go back to below zero. So the wind has this ferocity to it that's really pretty wild. So and it's moving more towards snow. So now what's falling out of the sky is less noisy, it's less icy. I'm not hearing it hit things the same, and it's landing on me as a little more snow. So we're kind of like, the temperature's dropping by the minute, and it's kind of a unique weather. Boy, we sure have weather in Vermont. So I came back into my house. I'm going to put my cross-country skis on and go down in the road and hope that they don't come down and plow. Because it's snowy enough to be able to ski in it. It's not just ice. It's actually more snowy than anyways, it's just kind of unique. And I was thinking about how we like go do specific things, like we go ski or we go snowshoe or go swimming or something. And I love to just go out and experience whatever the weather is, not like come up with a specific sport or activity to do in it, because that's so limiting, but to actually just like go experience the weather, just go smell it, listen to it, enjoy it for what it is, and it's that way. It's so exciting. It's exhilarating, I'm not trying to like force something to happen. I'm actually just enjoying the gift of whatever the weather is, and not making a like, oh, this weather is terrible. It's unique, and it is what it is. And so I don't know, it's more fun. So I'm going to go in and get dressed up better, and I'm going to put my ski goggles on because it is really windy and gusty and getting really, really cold. So I'm going to put my ski goggles on with my cross-country skis, and then, ski down to the lake. I really want to see what's been going on with the lake, because it froze over, so I can't swim in it, but I've been skiing on it, and it's been pretty thick. But yesterday and the last couple days of warm-up, I'm curious what it's like. So anyways, I'm going to go do that. Ooh, love it. I guess Robert Burns knew something about mice that I didn't know, but, this poem that the best laid plans of mice and men often go awry. This week, due to weather, all kinds of really fun things got canceled. So, I can choose to stay indoors and be mad at the weather, or I can just go out and embrace it. So this morning I woke up and there was this weird, like loud, icy, pelty sound going on all around the outside of the house. I was going to put on my ice bugs and go for a run, but when I got up and went outside, it sort of looked like snow, and felt sort of pelty and icy, and I was just going to be like, wow, I'm just going to go explore what Mother Nature's giving me, and went inside to change, and in those few minutes, it turned to snow. And it's supposed to be -7 degrees Fahrenheit today, and it was like 55 degrees yesterday and 25 below 4 days ago. So it's crazy, right? So
instead of being mad at the weather, I'm just embracing it all, and I'm just going to shift with whatever she's given me. So I'm going to put my skis on and go for a cross-country ski. It's getting really cold really fast, so these are better goggles to wear. Hopefully the town crew won't go down and plow my road. I'm going to go just ski down to the lake and see what's been happening with it. So anyways, you love it. I love it. It's awesome. If you just kind of go with whatever she's dishing out, you know, like, okay, thanks. It's all a gift. Hi. I just skied down to my lake. It's about 1.5 miles, and it was absolutely magical. The plows hadn't come down the road, so there was like 3 inches of perfect quiet. Nobody's on the road because it's this super windy, crazy winter day. A big transition from deep winter to 2 days of spring to back into winter. So everybody's kind of hunkered down. I'm hunkered down out in Mother Nature because I just love it when she gets moody, because it's like riding the tail of a tiger, you know? It's fierce and wild and windy and beautiful, and it's right in my backyard. You know, I didn't have to go get on a plane and go anywhere. I can just, like, my wild voice is so awake and in tune with my surroundings that I don't have to go anywhere, you know? And I was like skiing down this hill on the road, and there was just a stream coming off from the mountain. It's sort of like a big hill, small mountain, and icicles, and it was absolutely beautiful. And you could hear the sound of this waterfall, and I'm like, wow, this is just like a tiny little stream, you know, on the side of a mountain, and it was so beautiful. And then a grouse just went walking across the road in front of me, and it's just incredible. It's so cold. It's fast, you know. And like the lake had frozen over in 2.5 weeks of very sub-zero weather. So I know that the ice on the lake is safe, but the first 10 feet of the lake, not so much, because it warmed up in the 2 days of spring. So it's kind of slushy and mushy. So there's a fine line between adventure and stupidity. So I'm not going in the water, but it's just awesome just to come down near it. And there's all these branches down in the road, and so there's nobody out driving on it. It's like my own little road, my own ski path, you know. So anyways, there's just all these awesome gifts if you're just willing to go out and enjoy it. And so anyways, that's what I'm doing. It's awesome. So I made some tea. So I have a little thermos of tea and some squirrel food. So I keep these little like nut and peanut butter and dried powdered milk in my front pocket. That's my breakfast this morning. I was so excited to come outside that I didn't even like have a cup of coffee and breakfast. I just got dressed and came out. And so I'm having breakfast here outside in this wild, wild weather. And it's just, oh, I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful. What a perfect meal. So I just got back from that amazing breakfast ski, and on the way back, it had snowed even more on the road. I'm going to say there was probably a total of 3.5 inches, but because it started out with this kind of icy snow, it coated the dirt road first, which was perfect, and then snowed 3 to 4 inches on top of it. Nobody was up. Nobody was out. So it was all mine, you know? And so I was coming back, and a deer crossed the road in front of me, and then like all the animals were waking up and looking for breakfast too. So there were all these tracks, and I saw some hawks, and it was so cool. I was just kind of up with them, you know? And I got to ski down the road is this like long hill, and I got to ski down the middle of the road because nobody's traveling on it. So it was a really unique
kind of thing. But because there wasn't too much snow and it's pretty fine, it was pretty fast. So I got to just like glide down the middle of the road, back and forth in this silence. All you could hear was like this little swish of my ski, and it was so beautiful. I just kind of kept going back up it and coming down and going back up it and coming down. And I have like, everybody has like one weak leg, and so I always feel like it's best to strengthen whatever the weakest member is by encouraging it. So and for me, it's my left leg. So whenever I'm skiing or doing something, it's always like just a little behind, you know? So I went back to the top and then just stood on my left leg and closed my eyes and skied down the middle of the road, down this incline. And the first time I did it, it was like this real like, meh, you know, and my right foot kept chopping down, you know, stepping down, and I wasn't trusting it. And the next time I did it, I closed my eyes and I decided to like just trust my leg. And when I got to the bottom, the line was incredibly straight. And it was just this beautiful, like, oh, if we just trust, you know? I felt like that was a really important element. So I kept doing it because it was so fun, you know? And I was like, wow, what an encourager trust is, you know? Anyways, so now I'm back home. Now I'm gonna like go in and make coffee and have like a real breakfast. But I just lived a whole day of excitement and being outdoors before anybody else is like really even getting up yet. So how cool is that? What a gift.